Our affirmation today, it's a long one. I may not be able to see the thing that I have claimed, but I know it is mine in spirit, and I have received the spiritual light. I wanted to talk a bit about patience, something that is very challenging at times to have. I know that I talk a lot. Every week I get up here and I tell you about the power of positive thinking and don't use your negative words and thank it forward. And I do that a lot in my personal life too, with friends and staff at work. I talk about the power of speaking positive and being positive. And people will come to me and they, you know what, I've been thinking positive. I've been only using positive words, but I still have that health situation. I still have that lack or that limit, or I still have that challenging relationship with my spouse or my sibling or my parents. How is it that I can be doing all these things that you're saying to do and still it's not there for me? So, maybe there's something flawed in what you're telling me, John. And, I have to stand back and, you don't want to constantly be saying, no, it'll work, just keep trying it. But that really is the reality of what you're saying, is there is patience needed, patience. And again, this goes back to exercising patience. Maybe we can show our New Testament lesson today. This was chosen especially because it deals with the issue of patience. Knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience, but let patience have its perfect work. That's very important. Let it have its perfect work as it takes time for what you have claimed to manifest. Let patience have its perfect work that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. So we're told here in the book of James that we are meant to live lives without lack, with no limits, great health and great happiness. However, we also have to have the virtue of patience. And a lot of times in this waiting process, this is an extra lesson from God because we're learning how to be patient and we're learning and understanding how necessary it is to work with God in all things. I had mentioned that in last week's message, that I told the story about the farmer, and the point of it being that you're not going to be able to do it with God, and God isn't going to do it without participation from you. So it's a joint effort. And so in that is patience. You need to exercise patience because we know through using our affirmations and through prayer and through meditation and our positive thinking and not letting negative, disruptive words pass through our lips, that indeed we can claim all these things that God has intended for us, which is, of course, great happiness, great health, and great prosperity. The challenge along the way can be exercising the patience that you need, but also is the faith, having the faith, knowing I have claimed it, it is going to manifest itself, and I am going to exercise the patience needed and continue with my positive thinking and my affirmations. And I'm going to continue being an example of my faith to those around me. And oftentimes, this is part of the gift that God is giving you, because rather than letting your desire be manifested right away, you continue to exhibit the ideals and the thoughts and the way of life that we do as New Thought students. And you become an example to other people of how to live a life of positive thinking and avoiding negative statements and avoiding getting yourself in an upset, frazzled state while you're waiting for what you've claimed to manifest. Our question this week that you ask yourself as you're going through all your circumstances and situations is, am I open and receptive to the spiritual light? In the process of knowing and claiming, we have this spiritual light. As we said, our desire may not have manifested it, but it's ours in spirit, and that spiritual light is with us. So are we holding on to that? And are we exercising patience and faith? Are we letting that light into us to fulfill this need until the actual thing that we're hoping for does manifest itself? So use that light. So be open and receptive to this spiritual light as you go through the process. And that's going to make the patience part easier for you, and it's going to make us better demonstrators of the principles that we as New Thought students know that we should live our lives by. So the good news is that even though we may not see the things that we have claimed, we know they are already ours in spirit. we have received the spiritual light, and our greater good is that which God wants for us. So that's very important. So while you're sitting there and you're waiting and you're saying, okay, I'm using the principles, I'm even exercising the patience that you're telling me to exercise, it's very important to know at the end of all that that God wants good for you. We don't have a God who's going to ask you to live a life of lack or limit or poor health or poor relationships. We know through reading the scriptures, we know that we are created in the image of God and God is perfect, therefore we are perfect, and that God wants us to live lives of perfection. So sometimes we have to exercise a little more patience than we want, but that's a big part of faith, having faith and knowing that the greater good is that which God wants for us.